All right, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast, Insight with Irv. Listen, why do most new entrepreneurs fail in year one? Now, if you're watching this and if you are on the 364th day, then you're lucky because you're surviving. But I don't just want you to survive, I want you to thrive. If you're watching this and you are day one and you're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I got a good one for you. If you're watching this or if you're listening to this, really, because you could be on the audio experience. If you're listening or if you're watching this and you are dabbling, meaning you still have your 9 to 5 and you haven't taken the full plunge just yet, then I implore you to listen to, what do we got today? 1, 2, 3, we got 4 points that I want you to really take heed to and really pay attention to, because it is going to dictate how you decide to operate moving forward and how you view entrepreneurship. Look, I get it. Entrepreneurship is sexy. But we're starting to see, especially heading into 2023, if you're listening to this, it's already 2023, you're starting to see a big shift in the economy, and you're starting to see a lot of people kind of coming out. You're starting to see people shifting industries. You're starting to see people scrambling. You're starting to see people trying to add different pillars of income, because what they're doing isn't necessarily working out, so at least to the extent where it can just be a one standalone income. I don't want you to be that person. And that's why I decided to make this episode right here. So the first thing that I want us to pay attention to is you want to, not even pay attention to, the first thing that I've noticed, let me rephrase it. The first thing that I've noticed that entrepreneurs that fail in the first year is this. We tend to underestimate the activity. Like the thing that brought you into entrepreneurship because it was sexy, it was the new thing, it was the thing that everyone was talking about. You saw the Stripe account screenshots, you saw the PayPal screenshots, you saw how much money everyone was making, and you saw how easy it was, and how if they're doing it, because we think to ourselves, if that guy's doing it, if that lady's doing it, I'm smarter than them. I can cook better than them, I can dance better than them, I can type faster than them, I have better experience than them. If they're making, example, $50,000 a month, and it's month 3 for them, oh, we're making 150. Like, it's not even gonna be close. And then you get into the trenches, and then it's your first month in business. And you're like, okay, month 2, we got it. And then, month 2 comes around, okay, month 3 for sure. Like, they didn't hit it off until month 3. All of a sudden, you start to go into this rhythm, and you start to wonder, man, this is taking a little bit more effort than what I thought it was. Like, the market isn't responding to me like I thought they would. I thought that it was gonna be a welcome home party. I thought it was gonna be a homecoming party. But that's the reality about entrepreneurship. If you can plan to work 10 times harder on the goal that you have written down, you are going to maybe get out a 1x output out of it. Okay, let me say that again, because you're like, wait a minute, Irv. Did you just say, if I 10x what I think I need to do, I'm potentially going to get like a 1x return on it? That doesn't even make sense. That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's like the thought process and the math that a lot of people don't figure out, where they think that just because they're having a 10-hour day, it's going, like one time a month, it's going to automatically mean that they're going to have a 6-figure month, or it's going to mean that they're going to have $1 million year. That couldn't be further from the truth. And the reason for that is because a lot of people tend to work on the wrong activities that don't really matter. Now, I had this as the last point, but I think that since we're gonna segue into this, it's gonna actually make room for it to be point 2. The second thing that I've noticed of why entrepreneurs fail in year 1 is they still behave like employees instead of operating like a big organization. I'll say that again. The reason why most entrepreneurs fail in year 1 is because they still behave like employees instead of operating like an organization. If you are now in business, even if you are in business for yourself, you can't just think that you are going to be in that position forever. You have to have a vision big enough where other people and better talent is going to come into and want to be a part of. This is known as attracting A-level talent. This is known as attracting A-level players into your organization. This is how teams are able to win championships, because they're able to recruit. Okay, we have a new head coach. We have a new GM. Let's get this star player and let's start to build around that star player, right? But the thing is that the star players that they're putting around them are actually good. Versus if you've ever seen a team where it's a star player and then the whole bench is like, it's okay. They have a decent lineup, but really the star players are the one doing all the work, and you start to see that they start to just get swept by teams that they were decent, but they were decent all around in terms of everyone was really good at their role. It's the same thing in business. When you first come to business, you can't just stay in a place where I'm going to do all the work and then I'm just going to have a bunch of people that can kind of like somewhat replace me around what I do, because this is known as the genie with 1,000 hands. You don't want to be the genie or the genius with 1,000 hands. You want to be the person that has people smarter than you inside of your organization for specific roles. So when you're first starting out, the way that it works is you're first going to have generalists around you. That's typically how it works. You have maybe an admin, you have somebody that can take your call, you have someone that checks the emails, you have someone that can maybe do distribution if you're in physical products, right? But then as people start to graduate and as the company starts to grow and as the organization starts to grow, you want to start getting specialists. And so you want to have someone that's just like specifically good at, let's say, writing copy for your website. You want to have someone that's specifically good for running ads for your website, like a media buyer. You want to have somebody that's specifically good at training maybe your sales team. You want to have somebody that's specifically good at just training your customer support team. You want to have, if you're in coaching, you want to have somebody that's specifically just in coaching. They don't do anything else. And when you do that, you start to see that your business now has like little businesses operating inside of this. We call these departments, right? And so now when we see it like this, we now no longer think like an employee where we're thinking, okay, how can I keep the lights on? Which most of us start there, but you have to graduate from that, right? Because it starts to become a scarcity mindset. You start to think, okay, I just made my first $10,000 this month. But now if you don't reinvest it to create more jobs and to kind of start replacing yourself, you're going to be in the highest paying role, which is, again, you're going to have the highest level seat in your organization, which is really just you. So you're just going to be an overpriced or overpaid employee. That's really what it is. The third thing, or the third reason why entrepreneurs fail in year one is they lack skills. Now, this was originally point 2, but we'll bring it to point 3 because, again, this all ties in. They lack skills. This can be sales skills. This can be soft skills, how you portray a message. This can be content creation skills. This can be skills for product development. Like if you don't understand how to create a good product supersedes marketing. Because most people think just because I have marketing dollars, I can drive more ads back into my product. But here's like the invisible hand that happens. If you drive more eyeballs and if you drive more people back to your product that sucks, then more people are going to find out that you suck. And now that pendulum is going to swing and more people are going to say, hey, you know that guy that's running those ads? And you know that person that they say they can do this, this, and this? Yeah, don't buy from them because I actually bought from them from an ad that I saw and their product kind of sucked. Like you could probably learn that thing yourself. You can maybe just get it from this person who's way better at what they do. That's the last thing that you want. So you want to get really skilled at product market fit. Product market fit is going to allow you to see, okay, what does my market actually want? Can I deliver it to them? And can I deliver it to them in a way that that makes them want to continue to do business with me? If you can figure out those components, you're going to make a lot of money. But that is a skill set that you develop regardless of industry. One of the ways that I saw it put by Naval Ravikant is he says, you failed at, or you do marketing because you failed at sales, and you do sales because you failed at product. Like that's the best way that I've ever seen it put, and that's the way that most people operate their business. They just want to pump ads into a market into a product that sucks for the market. And they just want to constantly sell. When if you have a good product, it's going to sell itself. And again, that is a skill set of building. If you can build, you can outlast. And if you can outlast, you will out-earn a complete marketplace. Last but not least, you haven't developed the character traits. This one right here is like, let's drive the point home. Let me stay here for a minute because it's going to help a lot of us out. You can have the right skill sets. You can be in the right marketplace. You can have the right product. If you don't have the character, you're not going to be able to stay in that role long enough to see it come to pass in terms of how fruitful that opportunity is going to be. You're maybe operating from a place of pride where you think that everything that you do is better than everyone else. And I have nothing against thinking that you're the top gun in a marketplace. You have to believe that. If you don't believe that, no one else is going to believe that for you. But you also can't kid yourself. If you know you're getting your butt kicked by a competitor, You can't just say, oh, I'm better than them. Why isn't anyone buying from me? No. They're better than you at something. They're better than you at product. They're better than you at product placement. They're better than you on the back end with support. They have better customer service. You're getting your butt kicked for a reason. And what's dictating that is a scoreboard of the clientele that's deciding to pick them versus pick you. Now, I know that for a lot of us, especially if you're a macho man, this is a hard pill to swallow. But fellas, let me talk to us for a minute. You have to be willing to admit at one point or another where maybe I'm just not as good as I'm saying that I am. And that's okay. Because if you don't admit that, you are not able to graduate and work from a place of lack and work from a place of deficiency because you don't see it, or at least you're thinking that it doesn't exist. And that can be just as detrimental as not seeing it. Just because you say, oh, that doesn't exist or that's not there, it doesn't mean that it's not there. You're just choosing not to believe that because you don't want to confront the beast that's in front of you. And that's, I gotta get better. I gotta get better at sales. I gotta get better at talking to my team more often. I gotta get better at my meetings. I gotta get better at content creation. Character traits are important. You wanna be humble while you work. And I'm not talking about humble that you're a doorstep or a doormat for everyone else. I'm talking about humble that even though you're good, even though you know you're like the man, even though you know you're the woman in town, you know that there's room for improvement and you know that everything that you've built can be taken away. Like that type of humility, which is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. You want to be approachable by your team, by your staff, by people. And again, I'm not saying that you don't want to have space where you can kind of decompress on your own, but if you're not approachable, no one is going to come to you with new ideas of, hey, this is how we can improve the organization, or hey, this is how we can improve this next thing that we're working on, this next launch, right? Again, it's a team that you're building when you are within that year 1, year 2 in business. Year 1 is really tough for a lot of entrepreneurs because everything that I just listed, it ends up being a wake-up call for a lot of people, and then they just end up going back to the gravitational pull of comfort, which I have nothing against a 9 to 5. But if you stepped out and if you are in the battlefield, because it is a battlefield of entrepreneurship, and if you're battling the best companies in the world for your audience's attention, you have to know that you're going into war and you have to make that battle worthwhile. The only way to make that battle worthwhile is by knowing how much activity it's going to take, working on the skill sets that you lack, developing the character traits that you have deficiencies in, and then last but not least, stop operating like an employee. You want to operate as an organization and you want to start thinking bigger so that you can attract people into that vision. If you found value in this content, I actually really enjoyed this episode because especially going into the new year, which I think it's when we're going to drop it, either in December or in January, a lot of businesses start at the beginning of the year because people have these big lofty goals. If that's you, this is one that you're going to want to replay Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, because every step of the way you're able to see it as a checklist to see, okay, this is what I've worked on, this is what I'm good at, and this is still what I have to work on. This isn't gonna happen overnight, but I promise you, if you work on these things, you are going to improve your business in this area in your life. If you found value in this content, the only thing that I ask is that you share it with someone, especially if you know someone that's going to go into business. Hopefully they find value in it. If you did, then consider hitting the subscribe button down below and give us a 5-star review, only if you found value in this content, because it does help us reach a larger audience. Once again, it's Irv checking out. I will see you guys in the next episode.